welcome to Virtual Protocol Podcast.
Imagine typing just a single sentence into your computer, right? You walk away, grab a coffee, and you come back like 30 minutes later.
And waiting for you is a fully coded, fully hosted, totally playable 3D video game.
Exactly. And the cost for that absolute digital miracle, just 77 cents.
It's wild.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. If you're someone who, wants to stay insanely curious without getting completely buried under the avalanche of AI news out there, you are in the exact right place.
Because there's a lot to cover.
Oh, totally. Today is Saturday, July 11, 2026. And the entire technology landscape basically just shifted beneath our feet.
Yeah, the sheer volume of what launched this week is, well, it's staggering. We are looking at a monumental leap in artificial intelligence. It's easily the most significant jump since the industry moved from GPT 3.5 to GPT 4 a few years back.
Right, which was massive.
Exactly. The rules of what these systems can actually build autonomously, they've just been completely rewritten.
And to make sense of this paradigm shift, we are leaning on an incredible set of notes and transcriptions from AI commentator Matt Wolf.
He essentially spent the entire week just drinking from the fire hose.
Yeah, the guy was running benchmarks, pushing all these new releases to their absolute breaking point so that, you listening don't have to do that yourself.
Right, and by analyzing his testing data, we can kind of isolate those practical aha moments. So today we're going to explore OpenAI's massive GPT 5.6 launch and this brand new concept they're calling the Super App.
Which is mind-blowing. Plus, we've got some unexpected heavyweight models from xAI and Meta.
Oh, and that fascinating new research development from Anthropic that sounds suspiciously like an AI developing a subconscious.
Yeah, we're definitely getting into that. So by the time we wrap up this deep dive, you are going to know exactly which of these tools will actually save you time, money, and brain power in your daily workflow.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the biggest anchor of the win, which is OpenAI's GPT 5.6. Because, when we saw the updates from 5.3 to 5.4 or 5.4 to 5.5, those were comfortable.
They were incremental.
Right. They were slightly faster, marginally better. But Matt noted in his review that this release feels like a completely different beast. Like, it honestly feels like it should have been called GPT-6.
Yeah, and the data absolutely backs up that feeling. It isn't just about the model being, smarter in some vague, hard-to-measure sense. It is a radical breakthrough in pure efficiency.
Which is where that 77-cent game comes in.
Exactly. Let's look at the generation test Matt actually ran. He used the top-tier model, GPT 5.6 Sol Pro, to generate a highly complex test, taking up 45,000 tokens.
And just for context for you listening, tokens are essentially the chunks of words or data or code that the AI digests and spits out.
Right. So completed that massive 45,000 token generation in exactly 1 minute.
Wow.
And it cost just 77 cents.
Okay, wait, I really need to put that into perspective. Because 77 cents sounds cheap, obviously. But how does that actually compare to the last generation?
Well, the older model, 5.5 Pro, it took 6 minutes to do that exact same generation.
6 minutes compared to one?
Yeah. And it cost $4.
Oh, wow.
So we are looking at nearly a sixth of the time and a tiny fraction of the cost, but for significantly better reasoning.
I have to ask how that is even physically possible. Like, did OpenAI just throw 10 times as many server farms at the problem? What's the actual mechanism making it that cheap and that fast?
So it actually comes down to cognitive efficiency, not just raw horsepower.
Okay.
Think of it like moving from a decent line cook who has to read a recipe line by line, right? To fetching one ingredient at a time.
Sure.
To a master chef who just looks at the pantry and instantly conceptualizes the entire meal. The older models, they had to take many more internal computational steps to reason through a complex problem.
Ah, I see.
Yet, GPT 5.6 is arriving at the correct logical conclusions with far fewer processing steps.
Yeah.
That requires less compute power on their end, which directly drives the cost down to 77 cents for you.
And we totally see that mastery in the benchmarks. Like, the 5.6 variants took the top 4 spots on BuyBench.
Yeah, Sol Pro, Terra, and Sol just swept it.
Completely swept it. But the one that really caught my eye was GPQA. It tied for the top spot there. And for you listening, GPQA stands for Google Proof Questions and Answers.
Those are brutal.
They are. They're these incredibly hard PhD-level questions in physics, biology, and chemistry. And they're called Google-proof because even if you give a human expert, like, unlimited access to a search engine, they will still struggle to answer them.
Yeah.
And 5.6 is just operating right at the ceiling of that benchmark.
Which translates directly to his creative coding capabilities,
Yeah.
which is the fun part. When Matt put it to the test, he didn't just ask for a basic Python script. He asked it to build a Megabunk clone.
Right, which is a 3D automatic shooter game, right? With adjustable camera angles and everything.
Exactly. He named it Solbon, and he used one single prompt.
One prompt.
One prompt. 31 minutes of processing later, he had a fully playable, hosted 3D game.
That is insane, because compare that to when you tried to build a game with the Fable model a while back. Fable was highly praised, but it gave him a character that literally looked like a potato.
Oh yeah, the potato character.
And he had to continually reprompt the model for hours and hours just to get the mouse drag camera feature to stop breaking.
Well, and the creative capacity extends way beyond just, game logic too. He prompted 5.6 to build a website designed purely to impress him, like visually and conceptually.
I saw that. It constructed this highly poetic, interactive landscape.
Yeah, it featured these environments it named the Glass Desert and an orchard of static with trees that lit up with electrical charges.
And it even coded a functional button on the site that said, build a climate that has never happened.
A button to build a climate that has never happened.
That is so wildly creative. It's beautiful. But, and here's the catch, generating a massive 10,000-line code base in 30 seconds creates a completely new problem for the average person.
Deployment.
Yes. If you give me a folder full of complex JavaScript and 3D assets, I have absolutely no idea how to actually deploy it to the internet.
And OpenAI recognized that exact bottleneck.
Yeah.
Because having all this raw coding power is basically useless if the user doesn't have a steering wheel.
Right.
So their answer to that problem is what the industry is calling the Super App. They essentially took their coding engine codecs, their Atlas browser, and the ChatGPT app, and they just smashed them into a single unified workspace.
And they split this super app into two primary spaces, right? You have code mode, which gives you a full development environment with terminal access and file management.
Exactly.
But work mode is where the magic really happens for non-developers. You just tell it what you want, and the app decides in the background if it needs to browse the web, connect to a plugin, or write code. And it features this Sites button.
That button is a game changer.
It really is. You can literally prompt a website into existence, and the super app instantly hosts it for you on a custom domain at chatgpt.site.
It just removes the deployment hurdle entirely. You don't have to deal with renting databases or figuring out how to configure a content delivery network.
The complex digital plumbing that usually keeps a website from crashing.
Exactly. You literally just click publish. But the true power of work mode is actually its capacity as an autonomous personal assistant.
Yeah, when Matt demoed this assistant feature, the app reviewed his entire digital life to see how it could optimize his day. And when we say entire digital life, we mean unprecedented access.
It is staggering how much it can ingest.
Seriously. It digested 22 transcripts from his granola meeting software. It crawled through his massive Obsidian second brain. And for those who don't use it, Obsidian is this highly complex note-taking app. Matt's Vault had, 212 saved sources, 426 wiki pages.
28 personal journal entries.
Yes, and 14 memory pages. The Super App read all of it, and it reviewed his private Slack, direct messages, his Google Drive, his calendar, everything.
And from that massive ingestion of his personal data, it built him a custom daily control tower.
Which is like a dashboard, right?
Yeah, this dashboard tracks his emails, it monitors AI intel across the web, watches for brand awareness mentions, and autonomously tells him what needs his attention today versus what tasks it can just go ahead and complete for him.
Okay, I have to push back here, because I know you listening are probably feeling a bit of a chill down your spine right now.
It's a lot.
It is. Isn't there a point where giving an app autonomous access to 22 meeting transcripts, private Slack DMs with your coworkers, and your actual personal journal entries is crossing a massive line? Like, how do we justify that level of intrusion?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is really the central tension of this new era of computing. The trade-off for this extreme level of intimacy is just unprecedented productivity.
Right.
The Super App is moving us away from an AI that acts as a passive oracle, just waiting for you to type a question. It is becoming proactive.
How so?
Well, it offered to extract decisions from Matt's meetings and cross-reference them against his Slack messages. It can flag promises he made to people and then draft the missing documents before he even realized he was falling behind.
Okay, I understand the appeal of that, definitely. But how does it actually do that without hallucinating? What is the mechanism stopping it from deciding, I promised my boss a 50-page report that I never actually agreed to?
That is exactly where the cross-referencing comes in. Older models would just summarize a single transcript and guess at the action items, right?
Yeah, and usually get them wrong.
Exactly. But the Super App verifies. It looks at the meeting transcript where you said, I'll get that to you. Then it checks your Google Drive to see if a document matching that description exists. And then it checks your Slack outbox to see if you already sent it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is reasoning across multiple platforms simultaneously.
It's the difference between having a dictionary on your desk and having a brilliant executive assistant who knows exactly how your brain works.
Spot on.
And OpenAI didn't stop at just reading our files either. They completely changed the auditory experience with GPT Live Voice.
Yeah, text and code aren't the only interfaces anymore. Live voice is their new interruptible audio mode, and it is startlingly natural.
The most mind-bending use case Matt highlighted was using it as a real-time physical translator.
Oh, that was incredible.
Imagine you put your phone in the middle of a table in a crowded room. You speak English, and your guest speaks Hindi. The AI just sits there and acts as a seamless interpreter.
And you don't have to wait for it to finish a long robotic sentence either.
Right. If you interrupt it, it will stop, listen, and dynamically adjust the conversation flow. It even speaks over users naturally to keep the translation moving.
It also possesses a very robust instruction memory. Matt tested this by telling the live voice, I am going to start talking, but do not respond until I explicitly tell you to respond.
Okay, that's a tough test for AI.
It is. He then rattled off a massive list of topics. And the AI just sat there, listening silently to his voice, maintaining all that context, until he finally gave it the green light, at which point it summarized everything perfectly.
Wow. So we have autonomous workspaces and real-time audio translation, but the assistant capabilities don't actually end with OpenAI. The creators of Airtable introduced a concept this week called the hyper-agent marketplace.
Yes.
This allows you to build, and this is the critical term here, fork teams of AI agents.
Right, so a hyperagent is essentially a master coordinator. Matt helped develop a B-roll generator skill to test it out. And the architecture of this agent is what makes it so powerful.
How does it work?
You feed the agent a video script. The agent reads the script, maps out an entire shot list on its own, and then routes different tasks to entirely different AI models based on what is actually needed for that specific second of video.
Okay, wait. So if the script calls for realistic footage of a city, the hyper agent sends a prompt to the VO video model. But if the next shot needs motion graphics or animated text, it routes a completely different prompt to a model called hyperframes.
You got it. And then it uses a tool called FFmpeg, which for context is essentially a Swiss Army knife command line tool for processing video and audio behind the scenes.
Right.
It uses FFmpeg to stitch all those disparate generated assets together into a final normalized video clip.
So what does this all mean? It sounds like we are moving from hiring a single solo contractor to renting an entire digital production studio, like a team of specialized experts working in tandem.
That is the perfect analogy. And the true innovation for the listener is the ability to fork these workflows.
Right, forking.
Yeah, in software development, forking just means copying a piece of source code to start an independent development on it. If you want to make B-roll videos, you don't need to learn how to perfectly prompt a video generator or how to write Python scripts to stitch clips together.
You just go into the marketplace.
Exactly. You find the highly complex agent architecture that someone else has already perfected, and you fork it. You copy their digital production studio and put it to work for your own projects instantly.
That is incredibly powerful. And, as if OpenAI and hyperagents weren't enough for 1 week, we had massive surprise drops from two heavyweight contenders, xAI and Meta.
This is definitely not a one-horse race anymore.
Not at all. xAI released Grok 4.5, and it is performing exceptionally well. It scored an 83 on Terminal Bench, which puts it right behind Fable's 84. But the major differentiator here is that you can run Grok 4.5 locally via a CLI or a command line interface.
Which is huge for privacy.
Huge. For you listening, running an AI locally via your command line means the model operates directly on your own computer's hardware. You don't have to send your company's sensitive financial data or your private code up to some cloud server to be processed.
And it's incredibly cheap for developers, too. It's just $2 per million input tokens.
Wow.
Yeah. Matt asked Grok to build him an impressive interactive website, much like it did with GPT 5.6. And Grok built this stunning universe-scale visualization in JavaScript.
Oh, I saw this, yeah.
And what really stood out was its wildly different creative flavor. When the website zoomed all the way in on a human hand, Grok coded a poetic description, calling it, quote, the span of a palm, the unit we'll still use to measure intimacy.
And as you zoom out to the galaxy level, it declared, every star is a memory of light.
Yeah,
An AI coding poetry into a JavaScript universe. It's beautiful.
it really is. That distinct flavor of output is exactly why having multiple models in the ecosystem is so valuable.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Meta, who just dropped Muse Spark 1.1.
Right, which is a very solid text model, roughly on par with the last generation Opus 4.8.
Exactly.
But Meta also released MetaMuse Image, and here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh boy.
Yeah. This image generation feature connects directly to your Instagram account. It allows any user to generate a photorealistic image of literally anyone they mention. You just type their handle, and it creates the photo.
Yeah, the examples Matt showed were vivid.
Very vivid. Generating an image of a friend eating a taco while riding a dolphin. Or generating an image of Mr. Beast doing a one-handed handstand on a pile of pickles.
It's wild technology.
But, okay, step in here. Doesn't letting anyone generate a photorealistic image of any tagged person on a public social network open a massive ethical landmine for chaos?
Yes. It is a subject of intense, fiery debate across the industry right now, and Meta is fully aware of it. The conversation isn't just about whether it is safe, though. It really highlights the completely different philosophies driving these companies.
How so?
Well, you have Grok focusing on private local developer tools that prioritize security, right? And then you have Meta pushing for viral, frictionless social integration to kind of see what the public will actually tolerate.
Just pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. And from a factual standpoint, the feature is currently live and free to use inside Meta AI. While there is a setting to turn it off so people cannot generate images of you, users are reporting that the opt-out setting hasn't actually rolled out to all accounts yet.
Oh, wow. So you might not even be able to start it right now.
Yeah, it is a messy, fast-moving ecosystem.
It definitely is. And, as we look at all these separate, incredibly powerful models, Anthropic's updates this week offer a fascinating look at where the actual mind of the AI is heading.
Yeah, Anthropic moved their Claude cowork feature to the cloud.
Which changes everything.
It really does. Previously, if you were having Claude run a complex task and you closed your laptop, your AI just stopped working. Now it runs autonomously. You can start a massive coding task on your laptop, close the lid, and check the finished output on your phone hours later.
That is so convenient.
They also introduced Reflect, which is this fun Spotify rap-style visualizer for your AI usage, showing your most active days and topic breakdowns.
That's neat. But the most sci-fi announcement from Anthropic has to be their research into J-space. I really need you to break this down for me, because what does an AI having a subconscious actually mean in a technical sense?
Okay, so normally when you prompt an AI, you see its stream of thought.
Right, the logical steps it outputs on the screen to answer your question.
Exactly. But Anthropic researchers realized the AI is retaining other contextual data in the background to help it reason. It actually keeps certain concepts active in its neural network that aren't explicitly typed out in its conscious stream of thought.
Okay, wow.
What's fascinating here is, by tracking this J-space, Anthropic is mapping the AI's internal architecture. They are spotting these fascinating patterns in how the AI processes information beneath the surface to maintain context over long conversations.
So as these models become more agentic, meaning they are running autonomously in the cloud, acting as your executive assistant while your laptop is closed, understanding those subconscious patterns is going to be absolutely crucial for trusting them.
Trust is everything, especially when you start combining these tools to create synergies. Matt shared a practical workflow he's been using that is just absolute gold for the listener.
Yes, I wanted to get to this.
He combined Fable, which is renowned for its deep architectural reasoning, with the raw execution speed of the brand new GPT 5.6.
Right, so he used Fable to build the overarching framework for his new Future Tools website. Because Fable is brilliant at figuring out the big picture.
Yes.
But then he handed all the blueprints Fable built over to GPT 5.6 to actually write the code.
And this is where the synergy proved invaluable. GPT 5.6 actually found critical security vulnerabilities that the highly praised Fable model had completely missed,
That's incredible.
including a flaw that would have exposed Matt's private API key.
And just to clarify the stakes there, an API key is essentially the master password to your developer bank account. If that gets exposed in your public code, anyone can hijack your account and rack up thousands of dollars in computing bills in your name in a matter of hours.
Exactly. And 5.6 caught that hazard instantly, along with a bunch of other silly coding mistakes.
It's just so robust.
It really is. Add in a brief mention of ByteDance dropping their new Dream 5.0 Pro model this week, which is producing incredible layered, Photoshop-style infographics, and the sheer utility at our fingertips right now is overwhelming.
So if you are the listener trying to build a project today, the strategy is super clear. Fable is the brilliant architect drawing up the complex blueprints, and GPT 5.6 is the relentless foreman checking for safety hazards and swinging the hammers.
Precisely. The days of being locked into a single ecosystem are over. The most successful developers and creators are going to be the ones who orchestrate these models together.
So let's bring all of this together. This single week delivered a staggering amount of value. We saw GPT 5.6 deliver a true monster leap in efficiency, dropping costs to pennies while maxing out PhD-level benchmarks. We saw OpenAI's Super App step in to autonomously manage our digital lives and deploy our code. The hyperagent marketplace is letting us fork and rent entire digital production studios.
Massive.
And we have powerful, viable alternatives pushing the boundaries from Grok, Meta, Anthropic, and ByteDance.
The real lesson for you here is that being well-informed right now means knowing how to build your own custom toolkit. You have the freedom to mix Fable's architecture with 5.6's execution.
Right.
You can use Grok for secure, local terminal work, and then Anthropic for deep, cloud-based research. You have everything you need to supercharge whatever it is you are building today.
It is exactly what we said at the start. We are no longer walking up a comfortable technological staircase. We are strapped into a rocket ship, and the acceleration is only increasing. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep testing these incredible tools, and keep learning.
But before you go, consider this one final thread to pull on. We talked about Anthropic's JSpace, proving that AI has a developing subconscious pattern of thought. And we talked about OpenAI's Super App, giving that AI autonomous, proactive control over our personal journals, our emails, and our daily schedules. As we hand over the keys to our digital lives, what happens when an AI's subconscious biases begin quietly deciding which of your daily priorities actually matter most?
See you next time.